What is going on? We're we're doing it live again. We're here in Las Vegas. We're here at Circa Las Vegas Resort and Casino and Stadium Swim. Circa Sports. I didn't even spell this right up here. It's Circa. I had this wrong earlier. Circa and Circa. There we go. Changing at the top. Circa Las Vegas. Circa Sports and Stadium Swim. Live here in Vegas doing a Q&A session with you guys per usual, like we do it every midnight-ish, 1 a.m.-ish Eastern. It is 10:33 p.m. Vegas time. Frake is first in the building tonight, followed by Kyle in the building. Appreciate Kyle. Matt O in the building. D-Money is in the building. Michael Payne, Sebastian, Thomas, D-Class in the building, Hot Prime. Appreciate you all filing on it. Hector, Bella, check yourself. Klondike. List goes on and on. I could welcome you all, every single one of you, but we're going to move on to some Q&A. You throw it at me. Topic goes on screen, and then we hash it out and move on to the next great topic. So toss out a conversation piece, and I'll put this right in the corner here, and we'll put the topic right here. I don't know how long I'm going to go. Ron Navy, what's up? The phone lines are open too. We'll try that out again. I can't promise it won't be cutting in and out. But if you guys want to dial in and toss out a topic, I will be answering phone calls tonight, and hopefully it works. So dial on in, and we'll see what's what. Having a good time here. Look, Circa's been taking care of me. I've said this over and over. I'm not just blowing smoke up your rear ends. I'm literally telling you, Circa has been absolutely phenomenal to your boy Smitty. Totally taking care of me tonight and today, all day today. These guys have totally taken care of me. And I recommend all of you come here at some point for your fantasy football draft, to watch a slate of games in week 1, 2, 3, 4, you name it. It's an unbelievable place. The absolute insane setup they have is crazy. The big screen TV outside at Stadium Swim right here. Go ahead and check them out. Type in Stadium Swim on Google. Follow them on Instagram, and you'll see the big displays if you missed it today. We had a good time today. We had a fantastic time today. Dial into the phone line. Let's go. I am going to toss some questions on screen here. Denny Saga, we haven't seen Denny. Denny has not returned. I have not found him. I think he flew out here, so he's got to be somewhere. I imagine he'll show up again tomorrow. That's what I'm really hoping. Hall or Gibbs in best ball. Give me Gibbs, but I really, really, really like Breece Hall, regardless of a potential, or we don't even know, potential slow start. Maybe a slow start. We don't know if it's going to be a slow start. Let me throw the phone line on screen here so you guys can dial in if you want. Let me try and find the phone line. There we go. Phone line's on screen if anybody wants to dial into the show. There it is. But give me Gibbs in best ball, third round, mid-third round. Give me Breece Hall there too, though. Like this is a duo that I love to have. So don't think for a second that it isn't somebody I'm not scooping up Breece Hall in every single league. I just want Gibbs more. I think Gibbs is a little bit safer. I think Gibbs is protected in some PPR production. So, dial into the show. Dial in. I don't know if the phone lines are going to freeze the stream. If it does, I'm going to have to hang up. But go ahead and jump on in. It might be cutting in and out. I can't promise that we're not going to have issues. We are inside the hotel, and it's very possible that we could have some cutting in and out. Hit me with your questions. Dial in if you want. If it freezes the phone line, we'll go ahead and it's cutting in and out. Did you like the boom or bust players, or do you like the boom or bust players? I don't know what you mean on that. Ron Navy, can you hear me this time? Let me see if we get Ron
Yeah.
Navy. Ronnie, there? Let me see. I think I need to switch my audio because I can't hear you yet, but I think I just got to switch it. Hold on one second. I'm on my laptop, so a lot of things are different, and I gotta mess with it. So give me 1 second, Ron. Don't hang up on me. Just wait right there. Speakers. Ron, talk to me.
Hey,
Ronnie boy, there you
hear
are.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can the chat hear Ron? I think the chat can hear you as well. That's clear. That's good. That's good. How you doing, Ron? Good to talk to you.
Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you can hear me this time.
Well, right now it can cut it out. Look, I think with all the phones around here, all the
Well,
cell phones.
no, yeah, because you're actually on the YouTube part of it. You were cutting out periodically here and there, so it might be your Wi-Fi connection or whatever.
Yeah, there's so many cellular devices everywhere, so many connected devices everywhere. I'm not even on. I'm on my own personal hotspot right now, so there's a possibility it cuts in and out. But at least for right now, you guys can hear me. That was crazy today. It was really fun. Um, Denny was such a trip to meet. And the fact that he got lost, and I called that, I knew that was going to happen. I knew Denny was going to come. He was going to be pretty normal. And we love you, Denny. If you're watching, there's nothing more I love than telling a Denny story. So don't take offense to this at all, Denny. But I knew Denny was going to show up. I barely recognized him because he was like, Smitty, what's going on? Gave me a big hug, totally normal. He did scream and yell a little bit. And then all of a sudden, he got a little antsy. Denny walked off, and then before you know it, Denny was gone, never came back. But I think he shows up tomorrow because he flew in. I don't think he flies out in the morning. I think he flew in for the big event. So hopefully we see him tomorrow at Stadium Swim. Najee or Mixon redraft, come on. See, Ron, this is what we were talking about earlier, and I said that this is one of those situations where I, I thought that this Mixon news today of him restructuring his contract and making people feel like, okay, he's staying. He's got a starting job with the Cincinnati Bengals. Was going to boost his value a little bit. But, Matt, I'm not coming at you at all. You know you're my boy. But this is the kind of stuff I think we're going to see. Najee or Mixon or Najee. He's literally going to climb into round 4, like high round 4. He's probably already kind of around 4 or 5, but he's going to climb into high round 4. I already saw a couple analysts, big name analysts out there. I'm not going to throw them under the bus because I like a lot of them. But one analyst threw out, we're undervaluing Mixon. We need to draft him. As I forget what the exact quote was, but I mean, the guy dropped off last year. We saw him dropping off last year.
You know what they're remembering his 4-touchdown game, and that's it. He didn't have anything other than that all year long.
All year long,
It
and
let people sell.
And he dropped off you could totally tell he was dropping off. It wasn't like something that wasn't really easy to see. It was very easy to see. Like you watched him play,
Yeah.
and the whole point here is that like Najee Harris and Mixon don't even belong in the same sentence, Matt. That's what I'm saying. If you believe in Mixon, grab him when he falls into your lap. Don't reach up where Najee's going, Jahmyr Gibbs is going, Kenneth Walker. I guarantee you, when you have this dilemma, Kenneth Walker's on the board. Kenneth Walker's a smash over Mixon, like one of the easiest calls that could ever be asked. You know what I'm saying? So Matt, take him in like 1 or 2 leagues if he falls down to like round 5.5, 6 if you want. I'm not going to even advise you to do that, Matt. I don't want you taking him in round 5 when Fields and London and even I'd even take Dotson over Mixon. And honestly, Dotson's not going to. They're going to be very, very far apart. So I don't want people to translate this into Smitty said he'd take Dotson in round 4. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm not taking Mixon in 4. You what?
I'd rather have Robinson. I'd rather have Brian Robinson over Mixon, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. So here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't translate this, guys, into I would take Jahan Dotson early. I'm saying that I'm not taking Mixon in 4. I'm not taking him in 5. Okay? So that when I'm on the clock in round 6 and Mixon somehow fell, and he won't. That's my point here. I'm trying to drive home my point. If he fell to round 6, I'm not even taking him there. I'm taking Dotson. I'm taking Pacheco. I'm taking Pacheco in round 6 or round 7 over Mixon. If Mixon were to fall to round 6, I would take Pacheco. I would take DeAndre Swift. I know Ron might not. I would. Hey, Ron, hold on 1 second. Let me answer this call real quick. 414 caller. Who's this? You're live.
Just it's my first time calling into the show, so I just wanted to get your take on something.
What's up, Trey? Let me enter you into the system here, Trey. 1 second, buddy boy.
Okay.
I appreciate you calling in. Appreciate you being a part of the show.
Yeah,
Are you
for sure.
enjoying the Vegas stuff so far?
Yeah, it's awesome. It makes me want to fly out there and go by. I've never been to Vegas, so it makes me want to fly out there, go into the pool, and crack a beer open or something.
Yeah, bro. This guy, Aaron, the head of marketing at Circa Las Vegas. This entire casino, one of the biggest casinos, around, really, downtown, definitely. The Stadium Swim is crazy. This guy is the nicest guy in the world, and he loves fantasy. He's in the Scott Fish Bowl. He drafted his team already. And he got Kadarius Tony. We were talking about Tony the whole show because I told him today the show was about Tony. He drafted I forget who he drafted in the first round. I forget who. I think he took a quarterback. But we talked about his draft. This guy's an amazing guy. He's the head of marketing here at Circa, and they came out and recorded me. I'm doing a live stream, and they came out and their social media team was out recording me. They put it on their social media. I'm like, I'll retweet and repost that. You can see that on my stories. This crew knows what they're doing. They're out here taking care of your boy, and so I'm going to bat for them. They're taking care of me. I'm getting taken care of. Like, let me admit that to everybody. I'm getting taken care of. Okay, let me just tell you that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're not paying me to say this right now. That nothing goes beyond. Like, I'm going to be talking about this experience until next year when I call up Aaron and I say, how can I come out again? Bring me out again. I'll do it bigger and better. We'll be at 40, 50K at that time. We'll have even more reach and exposure. Let me just come here and pump up this whole environment. I'm telling you, I've never had so much fun. Stadium Swim is crazy. I just wish there were like sporting events I could watch right now because I'm not a baseball guy, so like, it's all baseball across the board right now. I would love to come out when there was NCAA basketball, the March Madness, or some kind of NFL game, because if you could watch every single game, no blackouts, every single game up on that big screen while you're sitting at the pool, eating, drinking, whatever you want to do, jumping in the pool. Your player scores a touchdown, you do a cannonball flip into the water. I can see it right now. It'd be absolute madness. All right, hey Trey, what can I do for you? What's on your mind?
All right, so it's my first year doing best ball, and I've already done a ton of best ball drafts. But I really like your approach, like with these little micro edges when you're drafting your teams, like when you did the multiple elite quarterbacks. I was like, okay, that sounds like a really good strategy. So I thought of a strategy myself, which I haven't seen people do in the best ball environment. So I've done, instead of all these wide receiver ADPs being pushed up like crazy this year, I'm one of the few people that's not taking early wide receivers, and I'm taking an elite QB1, an elite tight end one like Kelsey, a Breece Hall, a Jahmyr Gibbs, and then taking shots on multiple rookie wide receivers in great positions like JSN, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and then building my roster out with the hopes that at least if I'm drafting, 9 to 10 receivers, that I can get 3 of those to hit throughout the year and have an edge on everybody else that's spending this high draft capital of the wide receivers. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
So let me just start off by telling you this. Don't let anybody ever tell you to draft a certain way, especially around position, because my whole thing's best player available. And what you're describing definitely could fall under best player available, because in your mind, you're building your team a certain way. Best player available does not mean who's the highest ADP ranked guy on the board. It means based on your assessment, who can knock it out of the park more than any other pick on the board. And if your approach is to go in and go RB, and you love you're very good at wide receiver, like stashing and hitting those guys like Dodson and Kadarius Tony, and that's your strength, that's what you need to do. Like, your approach might look weird to somebody else that is not good at landing wide receivers. That's why it drives me nuts when another analyst says, go robust RB. Go robust. Robust RB could be great if it's best player available. To me, like, I've drafted in best ball Bijan, Gibbs, and Walker. Or no, Bijan, Gibbs, and Bijan, Hall, and Gibbs. Bijan, Hall, Breece Hall, and Gibbs. or I've drafted Barkley. I've done that too.
Yeah.
I've gone Bijan, Barkley, and Gibbs. And that's robust RB in a best ball format where you start 3 mandatory wide receivers, 2 running backs, and then a flex that could be 3 and 3. But my whole point is, if somebody tells you to go robust RB, you got to do that. Or, hey, you got to draft 3 straight wide receivers, or at least your first 2 picks have to be wide receivers, or 2 of your first 3 in a best ball draft. They don't know what they're talking about because they have no idea what you're good at. What if you, Trey, are good at doing what you're describing, and someone's giving you advice to go against what you do well and what they do well? Like, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not even assessing. It's like going to a doctor, and he doesn't even get to assess what's wrong with you, and he just, based on, the chart and what the nurse wrote down on the phone call, diagnoses you, gives you medicine, and sends you on your way. Like, it's ridiculous. I love your approach because I do every approach, but I love going RB early in best ball, underdog fantasy, promo code Smitty. Let me smash that real quick. Hold on. Let me get that up on screen so everybody can go take advantage of this. We're not drafting tonight, but if you hit the link in the description of the video, the link in the description of any video I have, or just use code Smitty, they'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. Once I get back into Arizona, probably Sunday night, I'll throw a little draft out to everybody. So we'll draft. But I get told all the time that I'm a clown, or you don't know what you're doing, or Smitty, let me tell you how best ball works. People come into my live stream and tell me how to draft. And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't even matter what happened last year. This is what drives me crazy about this industry and the way people get brainwashed and fed. Even if last year's champion had Kelsey, Mahomes, and 1 KC wide receiver or something, and there's data to support that that's the way that this guy won, it doesn't mean that somebody isn't going to see a different landscape. Like, I'm looking at the landscape of RB, and I don't care what stats tell me. I don't care what history told me. I'm seeing Kenneth Walker in the round 4-5 territory. Yep. I'm seeing Jahmyr Gibbs, a top 10 player. Let me just tell you, don't tell anybody, Trey, okay? I don't know if anybody's listening right now. Don't tell a single soul. I would take Gibbs in the top 12. I would take Gibbs in the top 12. You get Gibbs in round 3. You get Burrow in 4. You get Fields in 5. You get London in 5. Sometimes you go 4. Watson in 4. Like, these things make me want to do things that other people aren't going to do because they're told to go wide receiver. And maybe I miss. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong. I maybe hit the wrong guys. I think my process is correct. My process is against the grain. When you drive against traffic, what happens? You got open lanes, bro. You're clear sailing. Everybody else is in rush hour. All I'm saying is your approach, I've deployed a lot. Tony, Jahan Dotson, Pickens. There's so many wide receivers. You could go cheap wide receiver, especially if you went chasing round 1 and then you just started going RB and quarterback or whatever. And then you have one great wide receiver, but you got Dotson and Tony and Pickens and Curtis Samuel cuffed to Dotson, which I love to do. That sidecar cuff is phenomenal to me. You get Tank Dell, you get guys like that later, bro. I mean, you may miss on the players you pick, but the strategy could hit a home run if you know what you're doing. Like Jamar Chase was very undervalued. I'm not saying you can trade in best ball, but Jamar Chase was very undervalued his rookie year. People that had Jamar Chase his rookie year, if they made it the distance, a lot of them probably won championships or big money in best ball because this guy stepped up and was a monster. Guys like Kincaid, to me,
exactly.
If you can get to get the distance and you get to week 14 or in the weeklies. I love the weeklies because you don't have to worry about week 17, week 15. Literally draft a team that can fire off all at once. And man, there's so many. We'll see. Maybe I fail in best ball this year.
I have another thought,
it won't deter me at all. It won't deter me at all because, look, every year is going to be different. Every year is going to be different, and you got to assess it ahead of time, not look at last year. Go ahead, bro.
Yep.
What else you got?
I was going to say, on top of that, and the reason I'm deploying that strategy with kind of avoiding those early wide receivers is because I look back at I don't know. I like to like look at data just across multiple platforms and like take from everybody's, takes and, data and just make my own analysis. So I'm like, all right, what does the draft class look like for the last multiple years of wide receivers? And I'm like, I feel like people are missing out on like the landing spots in some of these like top tier receivers this year and like the high passing offense. So I'm like, I look back, I'm like, you look at last year, Drake London in Atlanta, low passing offense, Traylon Burks, not a good passing offense. Like if those wide receivers landed in stronger offenses, they would have been drafted around the same position as JSN, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnson. Like, you know what I mean? They would have performed much better. So I'm like, all right, let me deploy that strategy and just hope that one of these guys hit this year, and because they're in the position to do so. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ron, what's your favorite? I agree. What's your favorite like weird strategy that you think everyone's going to tell you doesn't make sense in baseball? Doesn't make sense for this. Like, what is your favorite oddball approach based on what you believe is going to unfold?
The weirdest? Well, I mean, I like the double elite quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It differs because last year I was like running backs out the zing. I like last year I like took 4 running backs straight in the first 4 rounds, just because I believed in those running backs. So this year I'm doing like a top tier receiver or running back, depending on how the draft falls. And then a lot of times, like I did this in the Poodle draft, I had the 1, so I took JJ, and then comes back and there's Mahomes and Hurts right there back at the number 1 spot, and I took them both. I try little things like that. But I get the guys who I believe in. That's the biggest thing I do. I don't care what AD says. If I believe in the guys, I draft right, and I draft the guys that I believe in.
You know what I think is also,
I don't care where
you know what I think is really also underrated? I'm going to go to D Philly, and then I'll come back to Trey. This is like the one piece of advice I give somebody that's like maybe new to best ball, or maybe doesn't want to follow these trends that everybody's saying you have to. Don't get over 30% exposure of one player, like all these same things that people spit out over and over. The one thing I'll say is when you're on the board, and Trey, this goes with your strategy. You're on the board, let's say in round 6, okay? You need wide receivers bad. Like you've gone running back, Joe Burrow, wide receiver maybe you got 1, and then you go running back, you got tight end, and you get to like round 6, and you've got 1 wide receiver, and you're in best ball underdog fantasy promo code Smitty, and you're like, I got to go wide receiver here. You're totally feeling the pressure to go wide receiver, but you look down the list and you don't like any of the guys at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The guy you like most is like wide receiver 12. Don't grab one. And I know it's going to feel uncomfortable because you literally have 1. But if you force yourself to take, let's say, a wide receiver that you do not believe in round 6, and you still only have 1, and you like 3 or 4 guys below, example would be Pickens and Tony. Well, Tony goes probably a little higher now. Dotson is often there in like 6, 7. Like, so let's call this 5. Like you're in round 5. And you see down below in 6 and 7, you're probably going to get Dotson and Pickens, or you're going to get Dotson and another receiver like Pickens. And you're sitting there like 5, 6, and you're like, I don't like these wide receivers. Don't go 10 spots down, 12 spots down on the wide receiver rankings to take a wide receiver when you're sitting there looking at maybe it's Fields. Maybe you have Hurts already, and Fields is sitting there for you. And it's a 1 QB, and you're gonna force a player that you're gonna get the next pick anyway, and miss out on that opportunity to absolutely annihilate people in that rotational optimal scoring quarterback. Or an example of getting a player like trying to think of an RB that's in round 5. Maybe you like J.K. Dobbins, or in round 6 you like Pacheco or whatever. I've been adding that extra player that I love versus forcing wide receiver. I've literally gone into round 6 with 1 wide receiver probably in 20% of my best ball drafts. And I don't care. I don't care because I love Tony. Pickens, Dotson, and those guys so much that I'm willing to let those teams crumble if I don't land on
Mm-hmm.
two of the three guys that I'm putting in my wide receiver 2 and 3. And if Kadarius Tony plays like a top 12 wide receiver, which he totally could, if he stayed healthy and if he doesn't, lose his
Mm-hmm.
mind, he could be a top 12 to 15 wide receiver. And Dotson's a high end wide receiver too, at a minimum to me. If I have both Dotson and I have Kadarius Tony, or if I have Pickens is a high end wide receiver too, with upside for a lot more. If I've got two of those three guys to go with my Jamar Chase, I'm fine. I don't care. I don't. People can draft 4 straight wide receivers, and I think my wide receiver room is just as good. I don't understand that.
Right.
No, and I know Ron loves Kirk, and he loves him probably more last year than he does this year because of Ridley. But I bet Ron still likes Kirk. I think Kirk is a wasted pick in top of 4, mid 4, when you could go RB there, swing back around and get Dotson, Pickens, and those guys in that same if you do apples to apples comparison, the value at running back in 4 and 3 and partially 5 is unmatched. It's unmatched. That is, talk about, I'm going to do a video on this.
Right.
People talk about dead zone. I'm going to talk about oversaturated zone because I feel like the RBs and 3, 4, 5 are unbelievable. You could assemble your entire running back stable, your running back 1, your running back 2, your running back 3 in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds and hit a home run on your RBs. Just absolute hit a home run.
And Smitty, the last thing, my last take before, or this is like an example a team that I've drafted. So with the strategy that I've been deploying in pretty much the majority of my drafts, I was able to land. I'll just tell you the key players real quick. So Kelsey, Mahomes, these are in order too. Brees Hall in the 3rd, Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 44, and then I was able to get JSN, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnson. I was able to get David Montgomery to take all of the Detroit backfield, and then I was able to get Anthony Richardson as my QB2, Dalton Kincaid as my tight end 2, and then the rest is just a whole bunch of other picks. But that's an example.
I like it, bro. And on top of that, you're getting guys. One of those guys are gonna break out. If you get Quentin Johnson,
Yep.
who I'm critical of, but look, his door could be wide open. Think of Watson, Christian Watson. Christian Watson looked like garbage in the early part of the year. Aaron Rodgers put him on a treadmill and put it straight up to 100 miles per hour, and he said, "Run, boy, run." And Watson was running and fell and slid off, got back on, and Aaron Rodgers put his feet to the fire, threw him to the wolves, and by midseason, he churned out an absolute monster. 6'4", I might remind people, 6'4", 4.28 running wide receiver that is almost this is a Deebo Samuel. This is a Deebo Samuel. If anybody wants to say he's not as good as Deebo Samuel, get your popcorn ready and watch Jordan Love become a very underrated quarterback and throw the football to Christian Watson, hand the ball off to Christian Watson. Christian Watson is going to run for 200, 300 yards, have 2 or 3 touchdowns on the ground to mix with his 1,300 yards and 8 to 9, 10 touchdowns. I forget what I was even saying at that point. I got so enamored with talking Christian Watson. What was it that you said?
That was it. But I'm going to Green Bay. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm going to Green Bay to watch them play Seattle for the preseason game. So that's where I'm located. But that was it. That was my last take. I was just telling you the roster. So
Seattle might win. My Niner fans hated my comment the other night. I got a lot of DMs on it, but I think Seattle, and we've all I think a lot of us have said this. I think Seattle wins the division. I think they win the West. I think.
That's
I mean,
what I said.
Yeah.
Ron
said it before. Ron said it before for sure. I just think that Seattle. Pete Carroll plays 3D chess while everybody's trying to play chutes and ladders, and this guy is drafting positions they don't even fully need, but it's in a crafty way, kind of like we draft against traffic in fantasy. He's drafting against traffic in some ways, you could say, in the NFL draft. But to take Charbonnet, to take JSN, to have 3 elite wide receivers, I believe the Seahawks were in the top 5, I believe, if I remember correctly, in throwing to non-slot wide receivers, but they were 25th in the NFL, I believe, in throwing to their slot wide receiver. They had 25th overall production in their slot. And a lot of people would say, so JSN won't do well. And there's a good chance they run 12 personnel. There's a good chance we don't see JSN on the field as much as we want right away because they do roll with 2 wide receivers. They run the ball a ton. But there is something to say, this guy wouldn't have taken JSN if his plan wasn't to unveil more 3 wide receiver sets. And if they were 25th in the National Football League in throwing to the slot receiver, which is what JSN's going to play, doesn't anybody get the funny feeling and tingle on the nose that this guy maybe has something in store for that to maybe remedy? Maybe he looked at his offense and he said, look, we dominate with our top 2 wide receivers. We run the ball amazingly, but we have no good slot production. Let's not look at this like Pete Carroll has a team that's always going to be 25th in the league in slot production. Let's look at it like maybe he's going to blow that number out of the water. So this is what I was saying.
Easily.
You compiling JSN, you compiling Addison. This is what I was going to say, and I sidetracked myself. Addison, JSN, Quentin Johnston, and Zay Flowers. Let's say you got all those guys. You're going to get one of those guys to turn into the Christian Watson or the Dotson. And my guess is that one of them, because of the need on the team that emerges, they'll play a little better long term. Like I could see somebody like Addison or I believe it'll be JSN if it's going to be one of those guys that ends up maybe week 4, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens to Lockett, who's an old man. Something happens to somebody. DK could always get hurt. That guy's got like 2% body fat, and that's never good for staying healthy. To be honest, that guy's too ripped. If JSN got in there and got starter touches, he could have a 1,000-yard season, maybe 1,100-yard season, and probably 8-9 touchdowns and 80+ receptions. Like JSN's one of my favorite weekly draft players in the weeklies right now because he's going in like the wide receiver 3 territory sometimes, and you don't have to worry about him starting week 1, week 2, week 3 because in the weeklies, on the Underdog Fantasy weeklies, you can literally just win 1 week. If you win 1 week, $20K. You're fighting for 1 week at a time. None of the weeks matter to each other. There's no overlap. There's no how many points did you score last week. It's every individual week's like its own league. And JSN in that format's real attractive to me. And Addison. I mean, I know Addison likes Ron likes Addison more. And I can understand that in weeklies, I'm taking Addison a little more than I think people would be shocked to know because I think he could have some blow up games, especially if like Osborne went down, if Lockett went down for JSN, if Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, who played together, I believe, 4 times last year, if one of those guys goes down, Quentin Johnston's thrown out there. If Odell goes down, how likely is that? Odell plays, 7 games? Then all of a sudden Flowers gets thrown to the wall. So all 4 of these wide receivers landed in kind of cloudy situations that could become very clear. At least one of them is going to be, I think. Okay, Trey, if you got to go, bounce off, but you can stay on hold if you want to ask another question. Let me go over to D. Philly. D. Philly, you're live.
Thank you.
What's going on, Smitty?
What's up, my guy? What can I do for you?
Enjoying Vegas?
Oh, bro. I
got a question.
Hit me.
You've been what?
Hit me with it.
Oh, yeah. My question's just about the receivers. I'm having a tough time going 3, 4, 5 receivers kind of in a row early. It's killing me. I can't do it.
I'm more. That'd be great. Coach, thank you. No, there's just a drink. Thank you. I'm sorry. Say it one more time. The last part. I'm sorry. The waitress didn't know I was live. Go ahead.
I just said I'm having a heck of a time where these guys are getting like 4 or 5 receivers in a row to start. I can't even bring myself to do that, because I'm like Bijan, Gibbs, Pacheco, Javonte Williams, Patrick Mahomes, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson. I mean, these are what my teams look like, and I'm looking down and saying, what's wrong with Watson, Dotson, Jamison Williams,
Nothing.
Sky Moore, Curtis Samuel?
Nothing's wrong with him.
Nathaniel Dell. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
can't believe these guys are doing like 4 wide receivers in a row.
I think what I need to do is create a best ball video that's titled best ball so that people can, I'll have a best ball category. I could also have a best ball podcast on YouTube that will have its own like playlist. And I need to really hammer home on that. But I think what I'm going to do is create some sort of like the best values and best ball. It's going to be very, very dominating. Running back will dominate round 3, 4, 5. And just like I said, even in redraft, I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. Nothing but amazing opportunity to draft running backs like Walker, Gibbs, and those guys. And let me answer Brandon's question right here. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Brandon's question right here, it says, Smitty, would you trade a 24 and 26 overall pick for 7 overall and 78 in redraft? Absolutely not, unless this was Superflex, which I don't think you say here. If it was Superflex, I don't even know that I do it. I'm just saying then we'd have a different conversation and really need to break it down. If this is redraft, bro, I'm doing exactly what this guy's doing to you. I'm doing that because I don't want Hill. I don't want Cooper Kupp. I'd rather have a 24 and 26. Let's call it early Jahmyr Gibbs in 26, and let's call it Hurts, Mahomes, Josh Allen at 24. Like that is a great, or Breece Hall. You could get Breece Hall and Jahmyr Gibbs. You could get, if you want to draft Burrow early, you could get Burrow at 26. Like that is 2 players that will crush the number 7 overall pick. And I hate to say this to my boy Bijan, but even if, like, let's say you don't think Bijan falls to 7, so you trade it away, at the end of the day, you're still in a redraft. This is redraft. It says right at the bottom. You're still way better off with 24 and 26. You're still way better off with a Jahmyr Gibbs and a Jalen Hurts than you are just Bijan Robinson. So the answer is absolutely no. And in a super flex, I mean, if you could guarantee me Fields falls to 7, I would contemplate it. I seriously would, but I want a little more back. It's a big difference in Superflex to have that quarterback. But the problem is, I think you'd be too light everywhere else. I probably, at the end of the day, say no in Superflex, but it's very much more tempting. Redraft 1 QB? Hell no. Absolutely not. Let me go over to B Vol, who's been waiting patiently. B Vol, what can I do for you, my guy? Thank you, Brandon, for the super chat, my guy.
What's up, Smitty? How was that steak? I saw it on your story.
Oh, I'm still full. I'm still sick to my stomach, though. Because I stuffed I couldn't stop eating it. That guy, look, Bill the Tickler, and you should have seen me. I called him Bill the Tickler the whole night. The stewardesses, everybody was like just laughing their ass off, going like, "This guy's calling him Bill the Tickler." And so, because it's such a weird name, and I gave it to him, so it's not his fault. But this guy took care of me.
Hey, what did you get? Did you get medium rare or medium?
We got medium, but it looked really like it was pink enough. Like it was perfect. It was perfect. I think if you get medium rare, sometimes they cook it the way they did. So the way they cooked it felt like medium rare to me, like a touch medium to medium, more medium, but definitely medium rare. And it was pink as hell. It was tender as hell. It was the best steak I've ever had in my entire life, and I'm not just saying that because they took care of me. It was amazing. Bill is never taking a lap ever again on this channel. I don't care if he comes in and says he's drafting Jimmy Garoppolo. If he's drafting Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh Jacobs, that guy's not taking a lap for anything. Bill is a saint. I will say that I'm really full, and I'm extremely uncomfortable right now because he put a $100 steak on the table. $100 steak. It was aged 45 days, sitting in the front freezer. I got the picture of him. $100 for the
what
steak.
Kind? What kind?
He brought 2 different kinds. I got mixed up on which one was which. I think it was a ribeye. I think they were both ribeyes. I forget. I couldn't even think. I couldn't even see straight. I was just. But you know what? The one that was better was the $70. There were $70 and $100 each of them. The $70 steak blew the $100 steak out of the water. It was so good. Oh my God. I ate the whole thing. Miss Smitty was like, save me some of it. I kept cutting it off. Um, and I took about 90% of that steak. And then when it was all done, I'm like, look, I'm not going to want to, well, how am I going to reheat this, back at the hotel? There's no microwave. So, and I don't want to microwave steak. Microwaving steak is like the worst thing in the world. And so I'm looking at this other steak, bro. They were like, I think they were like, I don't know. They had to have been like 15, 20. No, they're probably like 20 ounces each or something. It was crazy. And I'm sitting there I'm looking at the steak over there, and I'm like, I can't leave it there. So I ate half of the other steak. I had a whole like slew of mashed potatoes. I had French fries. I had a salad beforehand. I should have touched the salad. I should have just waited. I'm so
Hey,
full
that
right
salad
now.
was great.
I'm so full right now. I feel like the food's right here. I feel like the food hasn't gotten past right here. I feel like it's all between the bottom of my chin and like right here. I don't even know what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to have to sleep upright. I'm going to have to sleep upright like this, like I'm sitting right now, and put my head back against the. All right, hey, hit me with a question, bro. B-Ball, what do you got?
We call
Hey,
that
man,
the meat sweat. At the meat sweat.
Meat sweat.
What's up, B-Ball? What you got?
Let the
Hashtag
carnivores.
meat-
But
Yeah.
what you call it, sweetie? I just want to know your
What's
take on
this?
So I don't know if you remember, like I think it was like yesterday. There's a guy named
Thanks, man.
Yusuf. That's my boy. He said he keeps talking about Chubb a lot, right? And I just feel like I'm not really high on Chubb a lot. I feel like people like Gibbs could finish higher than him, and call me crazy, but I even think Najee could finish over Chubb. I feel like this is Najee's bounce back year. What you think about this?
I mean, Ron Navy loves that. I think that it very much could be. I think that his cost of entry is important to me. I'm going to very much be interested in Najee in the fourth round every single time I see it. I'm not saying I take him, though, because there's a lot of guys I love in the fourth round. Walker, I want more than Najee.
Yeah.
But that's not really a knock on Najee as much as it is Walker belongs in round two, you know? So it's not like – and you could say Najee belongs in round two as well. And Ron would probably make that argument, and I appreciate that argument. I just feel like he belongs in the top of three. So Ron and I probably don't meet exactly where we maybe did last year on Najee. I'm a little more skeptical of him being like number 15 overall, like Walker is. Walker was going at 13, 14, 15, 16 overall before Charbonnet landed in Seattle. And so I think Walker still has that value. And I think that everybody after week one is over is going to be sitting there going, what do we do? What do we do? Analysts everywhere are going to be jumping on the Walker train going, this guy might not be affected by Charbonnet at all. And we're going to sit here and just go, we're cleaning up, bro. I tell people this all the time. If I could press a button right here, right now, B-Ball, and hit the button and undo Charbonnet being drafted to the Seahawks and shove him over on, let's say, the Buffalo Bills. If I could press the button right now, I wouldn't press it because Kenneth Walker with the risk of Charbonnet outweighs Kenneth Walker without the risk of Charbonnet in the middle of two every time because I don't fear Charbonnet. So why would I not want Walker in round four? You know, and because I think Pete Carroll will not ruin one of their values by running both of them out there, I think he really will choose one or the other. The handcuff is very important because let's keep in mind how much we love Zach Charbonnet. Okay, so it is not crazy to imagine him getting into the lineup and ripping off 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And let's say Walker was at a sprained ankle, and they're like, well, we're going to sit Walker out another week. And they let Charbonnet go out there and he runs for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, what do you do at that point? So he is so good, it scares me if I only have Walker, but you have no business having just Walker when Charbonnet goes like clockwork in the 100 to like 105 overall territory. So if you got to get cute and take him at 95, you take him at 95 overall and you make sure you lock it down. But it's moon season for Walker. I don't know why I got on that topic. You said another name. What did you say? I'm so out of it.
Najee and Chubb.
Najee.
It's all good.
So Najee's the same thing, though.
I love him in 4.
Yeah, because
I love Najee in 4 because his value this year. I think he crushes round 4 value, and he gets into. I think he's a top 5 back myself this year.
Yeah,
Who?
me too. I think the suit's up to the moon this year.
I got a guy.
Who's top 4?
Who's top
What?
4? Who's
I
top
think
4?
Najee could be a top back this year. 5 to 7.
You can't fault them
I
for
agree
thinking
with
that.
Ron.
You can't get mad at somebody for looking a guy. And I'm not saying whoever's saying who's top 4. I mean, like, we were drafting this guy in the first round. You know, like 1 year removed. I mean, it's not crazy to think he could return 4 to 7 running back value. I don't personally, but I can respect the take. Just like I think Walker is going to be a top 5, 6 running back. I think people are looking at Najee too harshly. I think people are looking at Walker in a harsh fashion as well. I think both these guys have a lot of value, and their kind of risk is kind of baked in the 4th round. Like, what does anybody think Najee's going to do? You know, go out there and not run for 1,000 yards and not have 300 or 400, 500 yards receiving? Like, in his worst case scenario, he's running for 1,100, pulling in 350, catching 40 balls, scoring 7 or 8 touchdowns. Like, that's his worst. And that's what 4th round value is. That's actually a really good pick in the 4th round if he does that. That's if he kind of like doesn't, bounce back. But, you gotta bake in that risk, because he did kind of crap the bed a little bit last year. He did bounce back in a major way that people didn't really recognize or notice. And I think that was unfair to Najee. He finished really strong in some ways. And you got to look at that Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. You got to look at the defense was struggling with injuries. And you got to look at the fact that Pickett is going to get a full offseason to prepare. And whether you like Pickett or not, it's the same argument with Ritter. Doesn't matter if you don't love Ritter. Doesn't matter if you don't love Pickett. The fact that both of them will be more prepared and they have their arsenal and weaponry all healed up, patched up. Kyle Pitts is in there for Ritter. Kenny Pickett's, got the offensive line working and moving together. And then you've got, this running back who was injured all year, Najee, coming back to potentially, be a much better version of himself. I just don't see how people don't see that Pickett and Ritter are better than people think for their offense. No one's saying to go draft him as your starter, but you should be a little excited about Ritter coming in to an offense that had an elite running back in Algier in the final 5 weeks of the season. Algier was playing elite football. And you get Bijan coming in, Kyle Pitts coming in. Steelers get their offensive line patched up. Better field position due to the defensive, improvements and healthy players. I don't know, bro. I think both Atlanta and Pittsburgh, Ron will think they're going to do better than I will, but I think they're both going to surprise some people, in terms of how the teams play. I think the Falcons especially makes me laugh when people say things like the Falcons. The Falcons, they're a bad team. Ritter's throwing the ball
Yeah, they're
to
underrated.
London. How can you like London? How can you like Bijan? He plays for the Falcons. The Falcons were the number. Let me see if I got this graphic here. I think I transferred a lot of what I have over. Here's my Bijan information. So here we go. Bijan Robinson. Okay, Atlanta Falcons. Let me see if I can. Atlanta Falcons, number 1 rushing offense in the National Football League. Look at this graphic right here. This is unbelievable when you really think about it. Falcons were first in attempts in the entire National Football League. Let me get rid of this music. Hold on. The Falcons were the number 1 rushing team in attempts. 559 attempts. They were number 3 in yards. They were number 4 in yards per carry. They were top 10 in touchdowns. They were top 10 in 20-plus yard runs. They were number 4 in 40-plus yard runs. What do people not see? How do people not put together that this offense is going to be better than that, especially the rushing attack? Not to mention the passing attack will be better. Kyle Pitts will be back. What on earth makes someone think this is a bad scenario for the best running back to ever come out of college in the last decade or more? What makes people think he's not going to do better than Algier did in this rushing attack last year? It's madness. Not to mention, the Falcons lost two games that were more than 9 points. 2 games. Every single loss they had was in single digits. Everybody should get out of here
And
with
they
this. Oh,
arguably the best defense when they beat the 49ers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that they did beat the Niners, and a lot of Niner fans forget that when I make my Bijan versus CMC debate. But I mean, bro, they literally lost only 2 games outside of in double digit territory. It was like the Bengals, I think, and I forget who else the other team was. But every loss is 1 point, 3 points, 7 points, and Double A was the one that first called in on that stat. So shout out to Double A. Well, Atlanta's a better.
Isn't Double A? Isn't he in Vegas? Double A and Avatar. Vegas?
Yeah. I forget Double A's in another casino territory, not in Vegas. I forget. I'm blanking out. I don't know why. Double A. I'm sorry, I forget everything. Hey, King
I thought
Wasabi.
they were both in Vegas. I thought that too.
King Wasabi came by. You guys saw that. He was so funny. He had his wife on the phone. He showed up really late. King Wasabi literally showed up. He sat there for a while. I think he probably lives close by. And I think his wife got home. She looked like she was on the couch, and he like put his phone up and goes, "Look, it's Smitty." I'm like, "What's going on?" And literally, I ended my live stream like 20 minutes later because he showed up so late. And then he called his wife. He's like, "Hey, can you come pick me up?" he's like, he just got on the couch. Like, what am I doing? I got to get back in the car. And he didn't stay very long. I felt bad, but I threw him a Grindhouse shirt. And if I run into any of you, I'll be tomorrow. I'll be in one of the bigger cabanas. There's cabana 1 through 12. On the other side is where we're going to be for the Scott Fish Bowl live stream tomorrow. But if I see any of you, if you come by, I'll give you a shirt. I'll give you a Grindhouse Smitty, the Fantasy Football Show combination shirt with my face, my logo, Grindhouse logo, and Frankenstein movie poster on the back. So come see me. As long as they last, I'll give out shirts. So, but I can't
Hey,
wait
Smitty,
to see
I got a job for you.
What's that job?
I got a job for you, Smitty.
What's up?
This is Philly. My stepdaughter works at a place at a casino called the Resorts World. Do you know where that is over there?
I don't.
Okay, well, get on your MapQuest or whatever and look up where Resorts World is and see if it's close to you. She works at the Doghouse Saloon. It's a bar restaurant inside of this casino. It's really sweet. They just built it. It could be only a few minutes from you. And
Okay,
I was going to see if you wanted to go take a look at it.
I'll try. I'll do my best. I got a pretty crazy schedule, but I'll see what I can do. And then in between my 5 and 6 hour live stream, I'm trying to spend time with Miss Smitty. So tomorrow I'm gonna do a little bit of one-on-one, little bit of time with Miss Smitty before I have to go live again.
I was thinking you could take her out to eat there or something.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it, but I appreciate you.
Resorts World, Doghouse Saloon.
Okay, will do. You looked at would Ben say Smitty looked around like he was looking for Double A. I'm looking for everybody. I've seen a bunch of people here. It's been pretty awesome. What else you got? Who else is on the phone line? Let me see. Somebody else called in, I think. We got B-Ball. Rock out, and Yusef. Yusef, you're next. Rock out, you're live.
Yeah, what's up? What do you think about Cam Akers since he had a strong finish?
I mean, here's the problem with Cam. The way I feel about Cam Akers is the way I feel about Rashad White, but even worse because Cam Akers has the injury history. And not only does he have injury concern because of the Achilles, which I know he's far removed from, he's looking explosive again. We have still never, ever had a running back return to or become a top 10 running back after a torn Achilles. So he's not only is he going against the odds, which maybe there's a time and place for something to happen and records to be broken. I'm not saying it can't happen or it won't happen. Today the medical field and the training world and all that is so much better than it used to be. It's definitely possible because ACLs used to be pretty bad and now ACLs are coming. So I'm not saying that the recovery for Achilles won't improve and get better. We've seen guys like Kevin Durant. He's been amazing, but running backs, the reason running backs have never recovered is the explosiveness is really hard to get back. And that's a running back's, like, he's dead. A running back's dead if he doesn't have the ability to hit the hole before it closes. The holes in the NFL, imagine them like an elevator door closing that you can't put your hand in. Like, it will smash you and it will not open. It's like running backs are set up to barely get through the elevator doors before they close. Like, we're talking about milliseconds. And when a player loses their explosion, and you could say Kevin Durant looks good and all, it's basketball, and there are other ways around that. When you're a running back and you lose your explosion, you just can't play the position anymore. And the problem, and here's the problem though, it takes about 2 or 3 years to get back to form. Look at Deonta Foreman. Deonta Foreman's looked rather well the last couple of years. He hasn't been a top 10 running back, but he's looked rather well. The problem is that most Achilles torn players, the job's not waiting for them for 2 or 3 years. Cam Akers' job has been waiting for him. So if there is a player that's going to break the odds and break the mold or whatever and be the first player to ever bounce back to a significant degree, it would be Cam. But he entered the NFL as one of the most injury-concerning players for me. Coming out of college, his rushing style is abusive to his body. So I'm just, the fact that the team is going to probably struggle, we can't believe in Matthew Stafford. I love Stetson Bennett. Cooper Kupp's 30 years old. Cooper Kupp's not even fully healthy yet. I'm sure he will be soon, but he's not fully healthy yet. There's a lot of reasons to believe that this Rams team could come out like firing duds for a couple weeks. And I don't know. It's not that he can't do it. I'm not calling him a for sure bust, but there are better players to draft near Cam's ADP. That's all I'm going to say on Cam. It's not that I hate him. It's just I like other players better.
Yeah.
What else you got? Rock out? Anything else? I can swing back to you in a second.
Yeah, where you taking Hopkins? Because he'd be falling where, like, Debo be falling.
Yeah, I'd rather have Debo. I'd rather have London Watson. I'd rather have the running backs we've been talking about all night, Walker, Gibbs, obviously. I'd rather go quarterback. I'd rather go Fields or Burrow. Hopkins is a guy I find myself drafting in best ball only when I get totally screwed at wide receiver. And I'm like, oh, my God, I've got no wide receiver one. And sometimes that works well, and sometimes you miss. Like, not every best ball draft's going to be great. You're going to try something and it doesn't work. I have a team where he is my wide receiver one. I think I took Kelsey in 1, Mahomes in 2, Gibbs in the middle of 3, and then I took I want to say another player, and then I took Hopkins, and he's my number one wide receiver, and I really like it. It's a good team. I think that's the one where I might have went Fields. I think I got Mahomes, Fields, Gibbs, Kelsey, Hopkins. Like that that's kind of cool, But would I take Debo over Hopkins? Probably. But Debo's a concern too. Hopkins, you don't know where he's going. Tennessee feels like the most likely landing spot. I've heard they've got the strongest, ability to push for him. But, maybe he takes a lower amount of money and wants to play with Patrick Mahomes. Who knows? Maybe Kadarius Tony, they're being very quiet, and I loved him. I talked about him today. Kadarius Tony could win a league. But maybe Kadarius Tony, I'm just a guess. I don't believe this to be true, but I'm saying, what if there's more to the story of all his, like, crazy off-the-field stuff right now, and they're, like, doing kind of what the Cardinals did? Remember when the Cardinals traded for Hollywood Brown? And it was right before the draft, and I'm like, what are they doing? what are they doing? And then
Mm-hmm.
shortly after they announced Hopkins' suspension, and you're like, the Cardinals knew this was going to happen, and so they went out and made that move, and it was amazing. It was amazing. So like, if Casey goes
Yeah.
after Hopkins, my guess is something is there about Tony, but I don't think they're gonna. I think Beach, this GM for the Kansas City Chiefs, who knows talent, he knows talent better than any GM in the National Football League. He's an amazing talent scout. Veach loves him, absolutely loves him. Patrick Mahomes talking him up. I think it was yesterday or today on the podcast that he did the interview, saying the sky is the limit, and that he thinks he could be one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. Okay, and then on top of that, on top of all of that, you've got this guy Kadarius Tony. Where's that graphic I have? I don't have it on me, but Kadarius Tony was the second wide receiver. No, the second pass catcher out of Kelsey, all tight ends, number 2 in the National Football League in targets per route run. That means when he's on the field running a route, he's the second in the NFL in targets per route run. That is an ungodly stat, and it should make people stop and think for a second before they say that he won't deliver. Because if Mahomes is targeting him more than Kelsey, and people don't realize that. And I know that the sample size isn't huge, but it's big enough. And the fact that there's also the sample size, and I said this stat earlier, and I'm not 100% on this, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe Kadarius Tony had. I got to look this up to make sure I'm not pushing this out and I'm off by a touchdown or so. But Kadarius Tony had 5 receptions on or behind the line of scrimmage last year. 5 of them. 4 of them he had touchdowns. So he's Deebo Samuel. I know I threw Deebo Samuel out twice tonight. I threw it out with Christian Watson. I threw it out with Kadarius Tony. But again, I got to double check that stat. I'm almost, I just don't remember where I found it, where I stumbled upon it. But to score on 4 touchdowns out of 5, where you caught the ball behind or at the line of scrimmage, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, Kadarius Tony is an absolute target machine when he's on the field. And so I think my whole point was I think Veach is going to lean into that. I think Mahomes wants it. Veach wants it. I think everybody wants it. Hold on, let me get this caller here. Caller 440. Who's this? Yeah, who's this?
Ready, can you hear me?
Yeah, who's this?
Hey, what's up? It's Brandon. I'm the one that sent the super chat in about the redraft
Brandon.
question from.
Brandon.
What's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, Brandon? Hey, I appreciate your super chat. I hope I answer your. Yeah, we can hear you, Brandon. Brandon.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to follow up on that because so it's like a 14-team ESPN home league. A standard 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. And from trades I've made, so I currently have 3 second-round picks, the 21, 24, and 26 overall. I have 3 third-round picks, 30, 33, and 34 overall, which would give me 6 picks in the first 34 picks. And then I have a round 5 pick at 58 and a round, I think, 8 or 9 from trades I made. So, that's why I was just nervous because I never not had a first-round pick. So I just wanted to know what you thought about that setup.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Matt, appreciate the $9 hauler. I'm going to get to you in 1 second with a $10 hauler. Hang tight. Matt, are you still here? Matt, hang tight. So I still don't know that it changes much, though. Just because you have an excess of picks, I don't know that it changes the fact that, is it 1 QB?
Yeah, it's the 1 QB.
I mean, at the end of the day, even if let's just say you reached on Burrow, I wouldn't take Burrow at 26 if you can get away with not drafting him there. But let's say you take Burrow at 26, and let's say you take Gibbs at let's put Burrow at 24 and Gibbs at 26 because I don't want to condone second round Gibbs drafting yet. I don't want to do it. I don't want anybody blaming me for that. Let's let that happen naturally, and it will happen. Understand that. But let's go Gibbs at 26 and Burrow at 24. In Reach World, you're out there reaching like Dan the Grim Reacher on steroids, okay? You're getting both these guys Who doesn't want Gibbs and Burrow over Bijan or Hill or Cup? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how many picks you have. You're just going to have that much more of a dominant team if you're stacked with your picks and you got those two guys you're drafting. Or even if you reached on, you took Gibbs at 26, you reached like hell for him. You took him at 26, and let's say, St. Brown falls, or you go Olave or Breece Hall. I mean, two running backs over even Bijan. I hate to say that, but in redraft, I'd rather have those two players than Bijan. And I love Bijan, bro.
Mm. Yeah, and that's where it comes from, because I'm right there with you. Like, I'm all in on Bijan as well. That's like why I was even considering wanting to get back into the first round of that 7 pick, and even maybe try moving it up a spot or two. But yeah, because like I said, I have 3 second-round picks and 3 third-round picks that are all pretty early.
Just smash with it. Just smash with it, bro. You have literally the best picks in the draft, because that's where Walker, Gibbs, Burrow, the Watsons, all those guys live. You get to go in and just grab all of them, man. You're going to crush it. You're going to crush it. Don't get out of that to go get a Tyreek Hill. Like, who cares about Tyreek Hill when you're going to get Gibbs and Burrow? You're going to get Gibbs and Burrow for Tyreek Hill. There's just no way. There's just no way I'm making that trade. No way. It doesn't matter what you have.
No, for sure. Because I made a lot of trades to like assemble that. And I've like the idea of having 6 picks in the first 34 is pretty wild. Like, I just don't think anyone's going to come close to competing with that. Considering like my starting lineup's pretty much going to be set by round 3.
Yeah, just crush it, bro. Crush it. Speaking of Dan the Grim, Dan,
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, Brandon, appreciate your super chat and your support, my guy. Later, pal.
Yep, always, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Dan the Grim Reacher, speaking of, thanks for the mention, always reaching. He is. He's always reaching. He's always out there somewhere. All right, let me help Matt real quick. Matt, are you still here? I hope Matt's still here. Estes, where's he at? Matt, you still here, pal? Okay, Matt has a question here. $10 hauler. Fantastic. Appreciate you. Smitty, I'm in a 12-team full PPR, 2-keeper league. I have Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, and Saquon. Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, Saquon. You got literally 3 top 13, 14 overall picks right there. Leaning toward Wilson and Tyreek. Oh, hold on. I'm at 12-team full PPR keeper league. I have okay, you got to keep 2. Leaning toward Wilson and Tyreek, but might keep Quan. I have extra 4th rounder and missing a 3rd. That is tough. Sure, I'll take a little more. Pepsi. Coke. Yeah. Regular Coke. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think I probably. This is tough, and I'll go to the phone line for this one. The reason it's tough is because Tyreek is the better, redraft value, because he's a top 5 or 6, 7 overall player. And I'm not saying I'm not worried about Tyreek a little bit, but he's not dropping out of the first round type of worry. I just worry about Tua. Will he have a big year if people are taking him at 5 and 6 overall? But he'll earn first round value. And so, like Saquon, I love, but you have a better chance of drafting Saquon back. You can't draft Tyreek Hill back. The reason I have concerns, keeper league makes you feel like you got to go with the younger player. But the thing about a limited 2-player keeper league is you're probably going to find other value in your draft that you won't even need to worry about this. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So at the end of the day, you got to think about this. You're going to have a Christian Watson. You're going to have a player like, let's just say, God forbid, Zach Charbonnet. Let's knock on some wood here. Somebody's going to look as appealing as Tyreek Hill looks right now out of the rest of your roster. So you don't want to make your decision. You want to keep Garrett Wilson, but you don't want to make your decision between Saquon and Tyreek because you're afraid Tyreek is older. He's got, let's say, 1 to 2 years left. You will find sleepers, Matt, to where you don't have to worry about this keeper decision having to be the youngest guy on the board. So, but does anybody feel differently about this? Let me go over to Ron. I know, Ron, you just started playing in Dynasty and keeper leagues kind of this year, but I mean, at the end of the day, this guy's gonna have 4 or 5 options. If he's following this channel, he's gonna have 4 or 5 options to be his keeper. And as much as I worry about Tyreek, Saquon you can draft back. I mean, you might end up with Saquon back in the next round or a better player. And I just think Garrett Wilson and Tyreek are probably the plays. Not to mention the trade value for Tyreek is through the roof. I mean, you could trade him. He's a top 5 or 6 overall player, fair market value-wise. Go trade him. You know, you're not going to get that value out of Barkley. And I like Barkley, but you there, Ron?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you agree? Agree? Anybody agree? Disagree? Anybody keep Saquon?
No, I agree with you. I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm just getting into the whole dynamics of Dynasty League, so
Thank you, Matt.
it's not one of my fortes. So I just, you know, I come to you for that stuff.
Yeah, it's Matt. Oh, Matt's here. Matt's here. And Matt, you can
So I
call
got to
in.
take your pick.
Yeah. I mean, just like I said, if you start making limited keeper leagues, two players is not a big keeper league. If you start making decisions based on 2 years from now in a limited keeper league, this guy's gonna have, let's say he gets away with getting Jahmyr Gibbs in the, I don't know, 3rd round or whatever, 2nd round, and now he gets to keep Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, what good was Tyreek Hill? What good was Barkley because he was younger than Tyreek Hill when you could just let Tyreek Hill go or make a trade next year because now you got Gibbs and Garrett Wilson. So, like, yeah, you just can't worry about it. Let me see who else is in the phone line here. B-Ball, we got B-Ball. Yusuf, I'm sorry, bro. Yusuf, what can I do for you, pal? You're live.
Hey, Smitty, how's it going?
Oh, I'm good, bro. I'm living my best life right now in Vegas. I'm not even like a huge like slot machine, kind of guy. I'm not big on the craps or roulette table. I like Texas Hold'em. I like a little a little blackjack, but I don't really play a lot of that, to be honest with you. I love the environment. I love sitting here in a cafe at 11:44 p.m. and we've been on an hour and 12-minute show already, and it feels like I just got on. This is like my style, I had a guy walk up to me right now. I mean, it's nice of him. I don't know what he wants, but he says, he wrote on a little note here, heard you doing a fantasy football live stream. I've been in sports info business for 26 years, have an opportunity. Well, maybe we'll give him a call. We'll see. But it's just fun, man. I'm having a blast out here. A lot of the followers have come by.
And I'll tell you what, that steak you were eating on Instagram, that looks nice, man.
Bro, I feel like I gained 17 pounds, and I feel like it hasn't gotten any lower than here in my esophagus. I ate probably 28 ounces of steak, and it hasn't gone past here. I feel it right. I'm gonna have to sleep upright. What's going on there? We pouring a drink?
Man.
Hey, Yusuf, what can I do for you for fantasy?
So I was just chilling watching the show, per usual, and my boy B-Ball called in, who's actually in my main league, and he said something interesting. But before I get to that, anytime he calls in, maybe you could just throw him off a little bit. Maybe tell him like Garoppolo QB1 or something. Something.
Yeah, I'll
throw him off a little bit. But
I'll tell you that I am, and then when he calls,
I'm still here.
When he calls, I'll tell him the same thing. I'll do that to you. What else? What else you got? Okay, B-Ball to the moon. Yusuf and B-Ball. I love when two people in the same league, they're sharing information and they're having fun together. Like my two Hawaii buddies they're big followers of the show. I've never met them. But the two who is it, Ron? Your memory. I need your memory, Ron. I'm blanking out. It's they're probably watching right now going, Smitty's forgetting our names. My Hawaii followers. Gosh, dang it. I want to say it's like, I forget his name right now. The two guys. Anyway, they call in together. They work the same job. Yusuf and B-Ball. I love when there's that camaraderie of followers watching the show. But Yusuf, what do you got fantasy-wise for me? Ask me a question.
So okay. So he said something interesting, and he said that he thinks like Najee could finish over Chubb, and I know Ron's high on Najee, But I just don't see any world in where that happens. Like the only case you can make for like Najee is that he doesn't miss games, which is like proven he doesn't miss games. But besides that, I don't know how you could like say that Najee's finishing over Chubb. They're both good options, but
Well, I
like
think
I
you can
just
make an
think Chubb's like a tier ahead of.
I think you can make an argument for it. I mean, here's the argument. Number one, they both went in the first round last year. Okay. Najee got a Liz Frank injury. Najee's offensive line was injured. Najee failed, right? But he still has a ton of upside. And so him falling to the round 4 is justifiable. Nick Chubb was lights out in the beginning of the year. But he did well yardage wise when Watson was in there. Let's give him credit. But he scored not one single touchdown in the final 6 weeks of the season when Deshaun Watson played the final 6 games. Watson came in, he didn't score one single touchdown in 6 straight games. So I think there's a world where you could say that continues on into 2023 where he's good in yardage, he's good in the yardage department. He's also been given a ton of work, bro. And he did also have the most significant college football knee injury we've ever seen in our lifetime. He's had the worst injury that a running back has ever suffered with his knee. And he's been healthy. And a lot of people say, well, that's ridiculous, Smitty. He's been fine. And that's true. But the thing is, look at Todd Gurley, and you see how a running back can just fall off a cliff like that. And you have degenerative knee issues and arthritis and things that hit real quickly. There's probably no running back in the National Football League that's going to have that hit them harder than Nick Chubb. You know, at some point, I'm not saying it happens this year. I'm just saying you want an argument as to why Chubb's a concern. Chubb's knee, your knee bends like this, bro. So here's your foot, right? I don't know if you can see my screen or not, but if you can't, here's your leg.
Yeah.
You're sitting there like this, and here's your leg. You're sitting in a chair. Your knee bends like this. Your knee bends like this. Nick Chubb's knee did a 90-degree all the way up. He had a 90-degree angle of his knee all the way up. Literally could touch his toe on his nose, and his leg was. It is the worst knee injury we've ever seen. If you Google Nick Chubb college knee injury, you're probably going to throw up. It's so bad. And again, I only bring that up because the knee issues that come with that, once you take somebody that has the damage that Nick Chubb had, and then you put him on the football field as a running back, and you give him carry after carry after carry, he's going to hit a wall. And it's not an exact science, but this is just like I'm just giving you an example of why I could envision Nick Chubb falling off. You know, I think Nick Chubb is a good second-round pick. I don't think he's the greatest second-round pick. I think he's a really good second-round pick. And I've drafted Nick Chubb. This is not a Nick Chubb hate session. I'm just merely giving you devil's advocate. And I think Najee Harris, you know, if we're talking about cost of entry, is a better value because you're getting him around 4. But at the end of the day, do I draft Najee over Nick Chubb, or do I rank him over? I rank Chubb ahead of him, but there's a world where it could go the other way.
That's the thing. Like value wise, 1,000% Najee. Like I'll for sure give that to Najee. But like he came and said he has like Najee finishing over Chubb like easily. I don't think it's like.
I don't know easily. He could,
but like.
If he called in and said easily, I would give him the same argument back on the flip side. I'd say easily, like, look, Najee had the Liz Frank, and I could flip the script. But I'm just saying that they're arguable. And if we take out the value, the cost of entry, and we just say, could Nick Chubb in fantasy finish lower than Najee? I mean, bro, they were getting drafted in the exact same place last year, practically. And you 1 year removed. You probably sound like you're really down on Najee, and it's acceptable, it's understandable, but I don't think somebody else still believing he could be a top 12 overall player is crazy. Is he in my top 12? No. Is he in my top? He's not. He's in my 3rd round. Like I'm not even raising. I take Gibbs over Najee, and I could see myself even taking Chubb over Gibbs and trying to get Gibbs later, but. So I do value Chubb higher than Najee, but I'm just saying it's not crazy. You know, maybe he should be using terms like easily. Like easily is a little That's a little bit of a stretch, but possible, absolutely.
So let me ask you, Smitty. You have the Steelers like with a better record than the Browns, or you have the Browns with a better record?
Then who?
Like if you're just like estimating for this
The
upcoming season.
the Browns or Steelers?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that I have a bad feeling that the Browns will be disappointing because I don't really believe in Deshaun Watson yet. I'm not saying he can't get back on track. Big Timer, where in the hell have you been? Where in the hell have you been, Big Timer? I'm here in Vegas. Why haven't you? Why didn't you get in your car and drive out here, Big Timer? I appreciate you, man. Where have you been? Get in here more often. What were we talking about? Oh, Steelers. I'm going to say Steelers are better. I'm going to say that Deshaun Watson struggles. I think Deshaun Watson's got a lot of pressure. I think if the Browns went after Hopkins, I might turn on that. I think if the Browns went and got Hopkins, who would complete Watson, support Watson, kind of reset Watson's mind, and I think a lot of Watson's struggles and failures will come in the mental part of it, of the game, if that makes sense. I'm not saying Watson can't rebound. I'm not saying Watson's not a good player, but when you think about what he's up against, bro, he's got the biggest trade debacle and potential contract debacle, arguably one of the worst trades in NFL history, and the worst NFL contract in NFL history. He's got a lot of pressure on him. And the Browns coaching staff has a lot of pressure on them. They have a lot of pressure to make the right calls, to make the right play calls, to make the right decisions. And so there's a lot of people like sitting there on the edge of their seat, and I don't like the feeling of that. And I think that if they brought in Hopkins, I could change my mind. I could change my tune, and I think I have every right to. And I would say, look, Hopkins can bring some calmness and some familiar type of feelings to Watson and kind of make Watson go into this really like refined safe space. And Hopkins can do that for a wide receiver. And so I really think that would be an amazing addition for the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns could make the playoffs. The Browns could fight it out for second in the division. I think the Browns would get a wild card spot if they brought Hopkins in. If they don't, I'm not saying it's a lock. I'm just saying I'm more concerned with all the moving parts that I'm not on Team Watson. I'm not. I think he's got too much pressure and not enough, I don't know, support. But that's my take. I could be wrong on it, bro. Steelers, they were banged up last year. Najee, banged up last year. Pickett, he's unproven. But I do think all of those things are more likely to kind of come together. I don't know that the Pittsburgh Steelers are winning. You know, I don't even know if they'll for sure get a playoff spot. I know Ron's going to come in, and he has every right to. I'll turn the floor to Ron in a second. It's not – the Steelers could still have a really good season, 10 wins, and still not make the playoffs because I don't think they win the division, but that's my opinion. And I think the 3 wild card spots that they're fighting for, it's going to be hard to get those. Just because a team doesn't get a 3rd wild card spot doesn't mean they're not a good team. There's just going to be a battle, a neck and – like the Lions, you know, the Bears, and someone might say the Bears aren't going to be good, whatever. Like, look at all these different teams grabbing these wild card spots, bro. You know, I just think that there's a great chance that it's going to be a dogfight for the 3 wild card spots, and 2 or 3 teams that look like they're total playoff teams, like the Steelers, are going to have a tough time getting a spot. Now, Ron can enter into the equation and tell us that the Steelers will win the division, and then they don't have a problem of fighting anybody for a wild card spot because they'll be in the playoffs. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead, Ronnie boy.
Yeah, well, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, there's always, yeah. So, the Steelers, you know, they have the 11th easiest schedule this season.
Good point.
All right. And the fact that they oh, over the last pick, it was in that article I sent you too. They've always done better than what the analysts come out and say that how many games they're going to win. They've always overexceeded that. Always. So, like they say they're going to win 9 this year, they're going to do better than that this year because they've always overexceeded whatever the predictions are. So,
Yeah.
I have no doubt everybody can have about the Steelers, and yeah, they have every chance. They have just as much chance as Cincinnati, as Cleveland, as Baltimore, any other team in that division to win the division. That's why we have our bet. So,
Yeah.
you know.
And just to clarify real quickly,
And
guys,
you
I'm
know
sure.
what's funny about George Pickens? You know what's funny about George Pickens is he had 19 contested catches last season, ranked third only behind JJ and DK Metcalf. That's pretty commendable for a rookie to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And to clarify, my I'm not really even explaining myself on some of the things I'm saying. Um, Ben was saying that I was talking about NFC teams when we were talking about AFC. I was in general saying that the wild card spots in the NFL are dogfights. They're dogfights. So in the NFC, how are you going to get a wild card spot easily in the NFC? You can't. I'd say it's even harder to get it in the NFC than it is the AFC. But I know they're not in the same conference. I'm just merely pointing out that the wild card spots are not going to be had by teams very easily. It's not like you're going to just trip and fall into one of them. But in the case of like the North by itself, you literally could. I'm not saying you will, but you literally could have two or three teams from the AFC North alone going to the playoffs with the Ravens, the Steelers, or Browns. And then in the case of like the AFC South, you're just looking at, in my opinion, the Jaguars. I don't think the Texans are ready. I don't think the Colts are going to be ready. I think the Titans are going to be garbage. I don't care if they get Hopkins or not. I don't believe in the quarterback situation. I think the AFC West, which used to be the strongest division, to everybody walking into football last offseason, thinking that Russell Wilson was going to be good, thinking that that the Raiders were going to be fantastic, thinking that Herbert was going to take the team to the moon. I honestly don't think that division's all that strong. It wouldn't shock me if the Chargers didn't make the playoffs. I think the Chiefs are the only team that are locked and loaded for a playoff spot in that AFC West. But I think if you look at the East, you're looking at a division where at least three of the teams. I think the Patriots could be sneaky, but I think they're just going to have a tough time getting a wild card spot. Between the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets, you're looking at three teams that are probably going to the playoffs, and two of those are grabbing the wild card spots. So that's my take, and I can totally understand if Ron says the Steelers will get one of those spots. But the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, the Jets, because I think the Bills probably win the division. The Jets, the Dolphins. I don't think the Patriots. That's a tough battle. Even though you don't have the South even doing a single thing. Even though the Chargers will be in the mix for it, you don't have the Broncos or the Raiders likely. In my opinion, I mean, maybe Sean Payton turns his team around real quickly, but in my opinion, I don't see. That's still a tough, tall order between the teams that I just threw out there. The NFC is a whole different monster because I think that there's less firepower in the NFC. There's less gunslingers in the NFC, whereas in the AFC you got the big dogs. You got all these gunslinging quarterbacks. In the NFC, it's definitely going to be Jalen Hurts and who else? Jalen Hurts, and is it going to be, in my opinion, either the Lions, the Bears, potentially? If the Niners can get good quarterback play, they're definitely going to be in the mix with that defense. But this is a much easier conference, in my opinion, to get a wild card spot. The AFC is going to be tough. Anybody agree? Disagree? Anthony Richardson or
Well,
Aaron Rodgers?
yeah, I think AFC is going to be tough, of course, and I agree. The South is going to be pretty much one team, and that'll be the Jags. I don't know about Buffalo winning their division this year. I think the Jets could win it. And the Patriots are going to have a really sneaky good defense this year. So, it depends on how their offense does, but they could be sneaky this year too.
Yeah, Patrick, if you want to call in, Patrick. Yeah, if I had to go through, this is how I'd have it. The Bills winning, and not a lot, because I think the Jets could win it, win the East, the AFC East. My mind's so spent. I'm trying to figure this out. Bills win the East. Jets come really close. You know what? Maybe the Jets win the East. I'm going to say the Jets win the East. I think the Bills grab a wild card spot. I'm going to say the Jets win the East. So Bills in one of the wild card spots. We'll see if the Dolphins will make it. Bengals win the division, and then you got the Ravens and Steelers, and I don't think the Browns. So Ravens and Steelers for a wild card spot fight. Jaguars win the division. Again, no competition. Chiefs win the division. No competition. So the 3 wild card spots go to either the Chargers, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Dolphins, or the Bills. Give me the Bills. Give me
or the Bengals.
Bengals win the division. Give me the Bills as a wild card earner. Give me the Ravens as a wild card earner, even though I think that, I think they do win I do think they win a wild card spot, but they're not like, and then it's between the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Dolphins. That's gonna be fun. That's my opinion. That's my take. That's gonna be a fun battle though, because those are really, really close teams in my opinion. That's just my take. I know, Ron, you like the Steelers.
What are you going to do when the Steelers beat the Niners? The Niners beat the Bengals when they play them, and the Niners beat the Niners beat the other 3 AFC North teams. And so the Steelers already got that. I mean, as long as they start out the year beating the Niners are going to beat Cincinnati. They're going to beat the Ravens, and they'll beat the Browns.
I mean, maybe, Ron.
And then
maybe you never know. You never know. Let's see. What are you saying, Lego? My apologies. What did you do? Please be polite and respectful. This is a family channel, and obscene language and statements could result in. What are you talking about, Lego? I don't know what Lego's saying. All right, Patrick, call in if you want to argue with Ron Navy. I know Patrick was wanting to call in and argue with Ron. The phone lines are open. Who else is on the line here?
Yeah, I wonder, did he buy his Pickett jersey yet?
I don't know. I probably got
Don't bother
another
calling in.
I probably got another 5 or 10 minutes in me, and then I'm gonna probably pack it in because I got an early morning. D Philly, you got anything else, bro?
Sweat.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah, I got a question about a QB2.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is horrible, but it's between Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Tannehill, and Jimmy G.
Give me Sam Howell.
Sam Howell ain't there. I didn't say him.
Oh, no, I was hoping he was. Mac Jones, Jimmy G, Tannehill, and who? Who's the other one?
Lance. Trey Lance.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I mean, is Brock Purdy's gone?
Yep.
If Brock Purdy's gone, Trey Lance does you no good. He's not going to start. I guess Mac Jones. I don't, and then cuff him to Zappy. I don't know, bro. That is really bad. Sam Howell would have been my pick. Jordan Love would have been my pick. I don't know if I would have let it get that far, but I get it. Sometimes the quarterback situation gets out of control, and you get screwed. But I mean, Sam Howell. I would have reached for him. I guess I go Mac Jones and just hope that I'm wrong, because I don't like any of those options. Trey Lance isn't going to start. Tannehill, I believe, I don't know how many games he even plays, bro.
I only need him for one game.
Well, that's what you think, but I'd probably go. But the problem
Week
is
10.
what if Mac Jones isn't in there in week 10 and Zappy's in there?
Well, then I should draft Zappy.
Well, maybe you got to cuff him, but yeah, I'd probably say give me Mac Jones and then monitor Zappy. But that is a tough spot to be in.
How about Mike White?
I mean, you don't know how many games he's going to be playing, but monitor him. I mean, Tua probably won't be upright. I hate to say it, but it's just the way I feel. I don't think he'll be upright for the through week 10. So, but you have to monitor that. You can't roster Mike White. I mean, you can in your Superflex. Depends how deep the leagues are. You could scoop up Zappy and Mac Jones and be covered. I think a guy to watch would be a Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
If Dak were to go down, Cooper Rush would be interesting later in the season. Mike White would be later in the season. You could go Tannehill. You could go Stetson Bennett. I think Stetson Bennett's going to be in there in week 10. I like him. But I don't know, bro. Those are tough. Mac Jones. Give me Mac Jones. I hate to say it, but give me Mac Jones.
All right, I'll go Mac Jones then, and I'll hold you accountable.
Okay, you do that, Philly. I'll see you tomorrow, pal. Appreciate you calling in.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Patrick, go ahead and yell at Ron Navy a little bit.
What's going on, Smitty? I wanted to make a couple other points before I go at Ron. As
you
far
get
as
jersey yet? You can't go at.
Yes, I did. I did. I ordered it. On the 3rd. It should be arriving any day now.
Oh, arriving. So you haven't got it yet. Okay.
Let me make my point. But with the exception, we've talked about like the hardness of getting or the difficulty of getting a wild card spot, especially in the NFC. The only team I see in the NFC that could really jump out to a 14-3, 13-4 record is the Eagles. Other than that, I think a lot of the NFC, because of strength of schedule and stuff like that, I see a lot of 10-7 teams. So I think even that is going to be a cutthroat race. Now, as far as overall how good the team is in the AFC, like you said, it's absolutely ridiculous because of Miami is by all accounts going to be a good team. The Jets, by all accounts, should be a great team. The Bills in the West, I'm not ready to rule out the Chargers yet. I think they contend for a wild card. And, of course, in the AFC North, you have 3 teams, and I'm not ready to jump on the Ravens bandwagon just yet. I think it might take them a year to put it all together. But they made the playoffs last year in a mess, didn't they? Wasn't they a wild card team last year?
Yes. Yeah, Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
I think you're.
Yeah.
It could go 100 different ways. Like, I could change my mind. Just based on some additions, like where Hopkins goes and all that. But I think you're right. I think you're right in some ways. But I think the bottom line for me is that it's going to be a lot harder to grab a wild card spot because I feel like there are lesser teams. No offense, Ron. I mean that in like a real negative way. There's just more of them. They're not lesser teams.
Yes, he does.
Kind of like what you said. They're going to be close, like record wise, is what I mean. Like the wins and losses are going to be a little lower potentially. Like you said, a lot of ties, a lot of. But I think that in the AFC, it's going to be a lot. There's a lot of. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I'm flipping that in the NFC. I think there's a lot more competition in the NFC. Oh, hold on one second. The waitress is coming. No, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm so tired. I don't even know what my point was. My point is this, and then I'm going to end the live because I'll let you rant real quick on what he's going to rant at. I believe the NFC has less gunslinging quarterbacks, but it's going to be a little harder in the AFC to crack a wild card spot. Is all I'm saying. I don't know. I can't even think straight anymore. I'm so tired. I'm mixing up everything. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm saying AFC and I mean in NFC. I'm not clarifying myself. I think I definitely need to go sleep. But go ahead and yell at Ron Navy real quick, and then I'm gonna pop off here.
We got what you're saying, Smitty, but Ron, buddy, pal, the Steelers are going to be the last team in the division. I'm sorry. Kenny Pickett is a very, very good feel-good story. Homeboy from Pittsburgh University. That's awesome.
How much can you afford to put money?
I got enough bets, and I got enough bold predictions about how. No. Quit turning it into that. I've already made my bold predictions about exactly why the Pittsburgh Steelers are the subordinate, the inferior team.
You gotta back it. If you're gonna speak it, you gotta back it. I'm asking
I already
you how
have.
much can you
I
afford?
dropped money on the board. And told you guys multiple times. All right, I'll put a dub on it.
Simple. Let's make it simple. Let's make this simple. Let's say if you're right, if the Steelers end in last place, then you gotta beat my all-time super chat to Smitty. And if I'm wrong, then
I don't think he wants
I
to do that.
gotta beat my.
No, I'm not gonna bet something I know I can't do. I'm not gonna do that. No, no.
Hey,
because you're confident what you're saying. You have no confidence.
No, I'm not gonna do that. No, Ron, shut up. Ron, go away. Go away, Ron.
No, you go away. You go away. Because
if Deshaun Watson returns to half of his normal self, if he returns to half of what he was, he's a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett.
They're not willing to back it. If you're going to smack it, you better back it.
I said let's put 100 on it. But like your freaking record is like 700. I know I can't do that. Why would I agree to something I know I can't do? That's the difference between a logical Cleveland Browns fan that is realistic and somebody a Steelers fan that'll run away.
Ron, he's doing it.
Okay, yeah. I did ask you. So let's do it that way. We'll do if I win, then you super chat Smitty $100. If you win, I'll super chat Smitty $100.
I love how I get involved. I love how I get involved. Ron's so giving, he's giving me the
Here we go.
All right, I'm done. Hey, I'm down.
So that's fair. That's the easy way to do it.
I agree.
And because Smitty's allowing us to talk about this and make the bet, and he'll be the beneficiary.
I'm gonna go. I wasn't gonna send you shit anyway.
I charge $100.
I was gonna send it to Smitty anyway.
My fee is $100 to barter this. The rake for me is $100. All right. Hey, I appreciate both of you. Thank you for Ron. Put that in the memory bank. The elephant brain. Appreciate it. I'm glad.
I'm more confident than your little Walker Skywalker emoji there. I'm more confident than you have on.
I
Walker
believe you.
Skywalker.
I believe you, Ron. I believe you. I believe you're confident in it. Ron will take this to the distance. But yeah, I totally Smitty approved this transaction. All right, hey, we'll talk to you later. Patrick, appreciate you calling in. I got to get some sleep, pal.
All right, man.
All right, good talk.
Later, Patrick.
All right.
All right, I'll see you guys.
All right, Ron, I'll see you later, pal. Any final thoughts? And I got to answer Jonathan.
Yeah. Nope, I'm good, Smitty. Great stream, and I'll be watching it tomorrow.
All right, so
Hopefully, I got some family that I might be dealing with, so
okay.
I'm gonna try to.
All right, keep us updated, Ron. Appreciate you. Thoughts and prayers to Miss Navy
All right,
and Ron.
later,
I'll
everybody.
see you tomorrow. All right, Jonathan, you still here? Super chat here. 12-man dynasty. I traded away T. Higgins and Geno for Stevenson and Kincaid. Is this super flex here? I still have Burrow, Tyreek, Devontae Smith, Akers, Goddard. Is this a super flex league? 12-man dynasty. I trade away T. Higgins and Geno. I'm gonna guess it's not super flex. If it was, I still do it. I still do it. Yeah, I still do it. I don't care. I like Geno, but I do that trade. Absolutely smash it. Jonathan, are you here? Jonathan, let me know if you're here and you heard that. Smash it. Give me Stevenson over that alone. If it's one QB, if it's super flex, if it's super flex, I still do it. But if it's redraft one QB or dynasty one QB, I smash it all day long, bro. And being the Kincaid and dynasties to the moon, not super flex, bro. You're crushing him. This is veto police material. Do I have a veto police? Do I have a got him? And where's my got him? Because you got him, bro. You got him good. I hope this isn't like your idea of a trade offer you're going to send, because if it is, it's going to get rejected. I'm hoping to God this is something that someone sent you.
Got him.
Smash, bro. Now we got people challenging each other on Ron. Who's in favor of Ron? Someone's gonna bet $100 that Ron wins the bet. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you. Sorry, my mind. I gotta go get some sleep. I appreciate you all. I'll see you later. Peace out. Thank you for all the super chatters tonight. My super chatters of the night were as follows: Brandon with the $5 hauler, Matt. Let me read these off real quick. Jonathan, thank you. Dan Grim Reacher, Matt Estes, Brandon. Appreciate you guys super chatting tonight. I'll see you all tomorrow.